everybody, and welcome to ESO Weekly for December the 11th. Here on the ShoddyCast channel, I am Kyle, and with me, as always, my dear, darling, beloved brother, Joshua.
Threw in a beloved. Very nice.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this December edition.
Yes. This will be a packed of progression type info and stuffs.
Yes, that's what people have been talking about a ton ever since that video, not to mention the Ask Us Anything that just recently released. So progression is on the mind, and as it should be. It's one of the biggest signatures of any RPG.
Yep. So the topics for this week, we will be covering that Ask Us Anything article on progression, which was actually like a three-parter because they had a French version and German version.
So we're going to be reading like French and stuff? That'll be fun. We're good with the words, so that should be no problem.
There's also a Game Reactor interview with Paul Sage, but there wasn't really any new information in there, except for one thing, so we'll talk about that. And also the ESO Alliance that had just happened, I guess, last Friday. There was one little thing I wanted to bring up about that episode. If you haven't seen it, we don't have it on our channel, but it's on Quest Gaming Network's channel, their Twitch. I think it's also on Tamriel Foundry's YouTube as well. So it's around if you just look for ESO Alliance episode 2. Alright, so let's get into this Ask Us Anything progression article. First thing, they did confirm that you will be able to respec, basically. By that I mean you'll be able to reset your attributes and your skill points as well. And all you have to do is pay a fee. Yeah. And apparently this fee will go up based on how high of a level you are. So if you're 50, you're going to be paying more money than you would if you were 10.
Yeah. Okay, so very, very standard MMO fare. Basically, ZeniMax decided to go the same route that I think 90% of MMOs out there go, which is introducing this kind of very artificial, pay this certain amount of money and you get to retrain, quote unquote. Now, this is no new news. We knew that we were going to be able to respec our characters. We just didn't know how it was going to be done. They were teasing about having to do a sort of quest line or something to retrain your abilities, not just like a flat fee. And I will still stand firm in saying that I would much rather have something like that, something that feels a lot more organic and makes sense within that game or within that universe.
Yeah, you should have to like venture out and find some super powerful person that can freaking change your character down to like the bones and be able to learn everything completely differently.
Yeah, because I mean that's a big deal, to unlearn everything you've ever learned up to that point in life and become a new person.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to find the heart of Lorcan for that shit or something. It's a big moment, but I don't feel like that's being honored here, and I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that I don't like this.
Yep, I agree. Now, ESO, I guess they were kind of defending their choice on having a class system of some form, and they were saying that classes were designed to help us initially lay down the foundation of our character that we wanted to be. And we've talked about this before, the fact that most people go into an MMO sort of knowing the kind of character that they want to be, at least, you know, like, do I want to be kind of more of a sneaky character? Do I want to be like a healer? Do I want to do just melee DPS all day long?
Yeah, I would like to think that everyone going into the game knows if damage dealing is the thing they like to do, healing is the thing they like to do, or taking damage, taking punishment as a tank. You at least have that idea going in day one.
So that's kind of just why the classes are there. They don't restrict you to just those roles, but it just lays down the nice foundation for you to build off of. And just, it makes it that much easier.
I have to say, I can see definitely where these questions are coming up, because that was the question posed. Like, why even have classes if we have this amazing open-ended progression? And I have to still agree with the person asking that question. It's a question I ask myself every day before I go to sleep at night. I ask,
That's because you have no life, so...
Well, no new news there, ladies and gentlemen. You have all these class lines you could go down, or not class lines, sorry, skill lines, with not only the base things like one-handed weapons and armor skill lines, but also these skill lines that you could discover as you're playing the game. Mages skill lines, the werewolf skill line, as well as the vampire skill line. There's so many of these things. At what point do you say, let's just open it up to everyone? And honestly, like, if tomorrow they announced, oh, we're just going to open up the skill lines, there's not going to be a class system, I would be excited to hear that. The fact that they're keeping the class system around, though, still says to me, well, the developers know something we don't. Like, for some reason, it works better for their systems and stuff. So I'm definitely not, like, bummed out about it either.
No, I mean, it's not like you don't have an overwhelming amount of choice when it comes to what your characters can be able to do.
Exactly.
The other reason that they gave was the fact that it gives players a sense of exclusivity. So, like, if you have some skill lines that other classes don't, then you kind of you have that feeling that, oh, I'm a little different, at least a little bit. I have access to some skills that I know other players won't be able to, which may give me an edge, especially when I know the other person I'm fighting and what skills they have available to them. So yeah, I could see that being a reasonable reason to have classes.
Yeah, I guess I don't subscribe to that just as much, just because, if I'm playing a Nightblade, sure, I have some exclusivity with every other Nightblade I ever meet. You know, they also have the same class lines. But to a degree, yes, I can see where they're coming from.
All right. Skill lines level separately from your character, so you can expect skill lines will exceed your character's level. So while they do sort of level in line, because like as you gain experience, you'll also gain experience through your skill lines, your character's level is separate from the skill lines you're using. So where you can only reach a maximum of 50 with your level, or with your character's level, your skill lines will keep going up and they'll go past that 50 mark as you are, using stuff.
Yeah, as you're using. Imagine your skill line leveling up whenever an ability from that skill line is slotted on your bar, correct?
It doesn't have to be, but it's definitely faster when it is slotted.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be because there's skill lines, for instance, the medium armor skill line. Whenever you're wearing medium armor, you don't have to have a medium armor ability. As a matter of fact, I think they might even be all passives if they're armor skill lines.
Yeah.
But as long as you're wearing that armor, you're progressing as well. At the end of the day, and if your head isn't wrapping around all this and it's sounding too complicated, don't worry about it. Play it like you would a test game, because just like any real game with any like non-too artificial progression works, it's do whatever you like doing, no matter what, and you're going to progress that way, that direction. It's all about player choice. And the rest is just let the systems do their work, because that's why they're in place, is to let you have your freedoms.
Yeah, it should all be working in the background anyways. So let's talk about skills and skill lines and how you gain experience through them, because it is based on like what the actual skill line is. So by that I mean like you're using a two-handed greatsword. As you're using it, you're going to gain experience in that skill line, so of course it's going to start going up. But when we're talking about the Mages and Fighters Guild, that skill line goes up when you're actually doing stuff for them, quests and stuff, and turning that stuff in. You'll gain experience through that skill line. And then there's like the Alliance skill line, which is your PvP skill line. That goes up as you start completing stuff and competing in the Alliance War. So all these skill lines like level differently based on what you're doing with your character and what you're focusing on. And that also has to do, like what we were just talking about, how abilities, they will level faster when they're actually slotted, but that doesn't mean that they won't gain any experience if they're not slotted. It just gains faster.
Right.
So as long as you're playing the game, you're basically going to get experience in pretty much everything.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the ultimate goal. Like, the most badass player will be the guy that actually can be the jack of all trades and kind of like, use specs when they're more potent, So, I mean, that's what I plan on doing, is eventually maxing out everything. That's what I'm looking forward to in this game, because that's what I do in my test games.
And that'll take a long time.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Now, we talked about this a little bit during the ESO Alliance episode, about trade skills, that they are now located on your actual skill lines menu now. They're basically, you have to put your skill points into your trade skills now. So you have to make that active decision, do I want to really put points into my crafting or not? It takes an actual, it takes dedication to do that. But that said, there's no longer that limitation of only maxing out 2 professions.
Really?
A character could potentially max out all of their crafting professions, But then you also have to think, though, that's going to take like all your skill points from all the combat side of that and defensive skills and all those other skills, like unlocking abilities and stuff to actually make your character worth a damn, would be very hard to do if you start putting all your points into trade
At least
skills.
it would take a lot longer to do, right? Because
Much longer.
Yeah.
Nick Conkle even said he tried doing this with a character, just putting all of his points into trade skills, and he said it was very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but it is possible.
Then everyone out there should be listening to that. I mean, unless you're gonna make a character that's exclusively a crafter, I would choose maybe one. At least start with one that you really want to invest in, because it's the same thing. I mean, I actually like the sound of this system very much, just because it's what we saw in Skyrim, right? So in Skyrim, if you wanted to get better at blacksmithing or something like that, you'd actually have to dedicate a point to that.
Yeah.
In that skill line. Same exact deal here. Like, you wouldn't go in Skyrim tomorrow and every point you make dedicated to blacksmithing, well, then again, maybe you would do that because enchanting was so overpowered freaking in Skyrim. But yeah, I would definitely calculate it and think ahead of how you're going to build your character. Otherwise, you might find yourself spending a little bit too much money when it comes to respecking.
Indeed. Now, abilities can only be morphed once. This was something that was clarified because a lot of people, including myself, I thought that, at least in the beginning, that skills would be able to be morphed multiple times as you are leveling and progressing through with that ability. But apparently there's only going to be one morph, or at least one chance to morph. There's going to be 2 morphs available to you for each skill, but you'll only be able to choose one of those.
Yes.
Obviously. But that also includes ultimates. Ultimate abilities can also be morphed. And we may possibly see more morphs in the future, but that has in no way been confirmed. So, leveling has experience, right? Use experience to level.
Sure.
Guilds, though, like the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild, use influence, which is also a form of experience.
Reputation.
Yes. And then crafting uses something called inspiration.
Okay, that sounds just stupid.
But all of it's just experience. They just call it different things. I thought it was funny, though, because they did use a different word for each one of these things.
Inspiration.
Yes.
I'm inspired by this leather gauntlet I just made.
Yes. So sorry if you guys aren't understanding all of this. This is a very abstract stuff to kind of ponder when you don't have your hands on the game, effectively watching the systems work. But we're just trying to give you some of the backdrop of how these things do actually work. So when you do get in the game, you understand what's going on.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're looking under the hood right now. So we're basically somebody who's never driven a car or even looked under the hood. We're looking in there and being like, oh yeah, this thing works like that, and it works with this and that and that. And everybody's like, what? Okay. Yeah, it's the systems,
Yes.
The gears.
Now this next thing is for all those min-maxers out there. And by that I mean people who love to squeeze out every single drop, every single point of damage they can possibly do, while having all the appropriate armors, buffs, enchantments, all that kind of stuff. Stats will have a soft cap, and they call this overcharged. So say crit, you're building your crit, so you have the max percentage to get that. I don't know what crit is. It double the damage or something like that?
I don't know. I think
It's
it
an
differs
extra
from
burst of damage.
game to game, but yeah, critical hit is any hit that counts for bonus damage.
Yeah, pretend like your hit blew them to the head or something.
Sure.
So you did extra damage. That's just sort of what a crit is. So they have these soft caps, and when you reach that point, you start getting diminishing returns, which just means as you're throwing more and more points into it, those points mean less and less as you put it into it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're a person that looks to put all your points into health, your attributes, you may start seeing that diminishing returns start happening, and you're getting less and less for all those points you're putting into it. And then at that point, you'll want to start putting those points into other stats.
Yes. Now this is something anyone who has played a test game has experienced a system like this. In Skyrim, for instance, there is an armor cap. I forget the exact number. We'll throw a number out there. I want to say 512. Anything past a certain number of armor rating no longer counted for shit. That's it. Once you reach that cap, any extra armor upgrades you buy or any enchants you put on it no longer counts. And systems like that are put in place strictly for balance, because if they let you go too crazy with things, especially in a game that has a lot of customization and a lot of options, then everyone will gravitate towards just that one thing and not want to, experience all the game has to offer.
And then you'll start getting like 0 damage from everything.
Now, the downside about that is the only way you're going to know, unless they put them in the game, which for developers won't do that for some reason, at least the majority of the time I've seen it.
They won't say, hey, you reached this soft cap. You might want to start putting points into other things.
Yeah, this is where, again, we're forced to go out to outside websites, outside resources out of the game, and say, okay, there's an armor rating. Now I have to go back into the game and kind of adjust my strategy that way.
Yeah, so Zos, do us a favor and maybe change the color of stats that reach that overcharged point.
Like red it out or something.
Yeah, just let us know. Jesus. Anyway, okay.
Are you getting really upset right now?
Zos plans to add more skill lines post-launch, and these can be unlocked through doing activities throughout Tamriel.
Alright.
So hopefully this will be a very organic experience. So as you're going throughout the world, exploring things, doing quests for people, you just so happen to unlock a new skill line. You're like, holy crap, I got something else to work on.
No,
That's
watch.
cool.
It'll be microtransactions. $10. You get a new
that's
conjuration
if it were free to play,
skill
then
line.
yes. If it were SWTOR, then yes. Okay. Points. Putting points in attributes not only increase the pool, so as you put points into health, not only will it increase how much health you have, but it also starts increasing like substats or attributes of that. So like as you're putting points into health, you may see that you get increased health regeneration as well. That goes along with Magicka. They were saying as you put points into Magicka, not only will the pool increase, but you'll see increased spell effectiveness, which I'm assuming means like crits and stuff. So that's
an
pretty
interesting
cool
thing to keep in mind. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
Because I was hoping to just be a magic guy that had like some really good mana regen and not a very big pool, but now I might want to rethink that.
Yeah, and then armor comes into effect too. So what'd you think, Josh? Anything interesting?
Nah, not particularly. Nothing that really excites me there. Honestly, like, the last exciting thing was the progression video, and that was kind of like a repeat of a lot of the stuff. I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we had a very awesome, like, blow your mind, ask us anything.
Yeah, when they start talking about frickin' Adventure Zone, which brings us to the Game Reactor interview with Paul Sage. GameReactor.eu, I think, maybe? Sure. Paul Sage said Adventure Zones will be in at launch. And that's good, because it wasn't exactly confirmed that those would be in at launch. So now we do know they will be in at launch. And they will have content for up to 12 players. Now this is different because we also heard that they would have 24-man stuff. Now this could possibly come in later, or maybe he just didn't want to announce that yet. But he said there would be content for just up to 12 player groups. Which is still nothing to spit at. I mean, that's more easily orchestrated than 24 mans, because that takes a long time to get 24 people to do something. But what do you care? Because you don't like raids anyways. I love raids.
I definitely care for the people that do like them, though. And I feel like the fact that we get this little nugget of information and it's new and it's fresh, they're just not really rolling out the info on the Adventure Zones.
They're not, which they really need to do, because they've been talking about so much PvP, which, by the way, they announced they're going to be announcing so much more information about PvP. Hooray!
Well, I feel like the PvPers have been sold, okay?
Yeah.
The PvPers are going to play this game. Stop focusing on them so much and throw a bone to the PvEers. And this is coming from a guy who likes, historically in their games, I've played more PvP than anything else. But yeah, I just feel like at this point, this Adventure Zones thing is like an afterthought. And at one point or another, you have to be like, okay, either commit to this Adventure Zones idea and start showing us stuff about it and getting people hyped about it so that the raiders are looking at this game and thinking, okay, this is something I want my guild to be a part of. This is something I would leave my current MMO to actually come and play. You know, that's just, it's not a feeling out there right now at all, which is they're losing that market, I think. And it's something that they either got to take a hold of or just say, you know what, no, we're not going to do Adventure Zones. We're going to do that niche, and we're just strictly going to focus on PvP, and that's what we're going to do.
They'll never do that.
Which, yeah.
Because it's an Elder Scrolls game. It can't focus on PvP. That wouldn't make sense. It's got to focus on PvE, right? but they're just making it seem like they are so PvP centric when really they have so much content for PvE, but they are not talking about it.
Yeah, solo at least. Solo, we know we're covered solo for PvE because they've talked about their hundreds of hours of just questing, 50 plus plus. We're going to be able to explore all of Tamriel and quest in each faction's territory as a result. That's covered. Group PvP is covered with this whole, Cyrodiil thing, an entire province dedicated to one style of play. PvPers are satisfied. Now, group PvEers, yeah, that's still a demographic that I just don't think they have a hold of yet.
Yeah, the only thing they really announced was like dungeons and stuff, but that's pretty generic. We know there's going to be dungeons. I mean, they're cool. They're story driven. That's pretty cool for sure. But also keep in mind, adventure zones are not just for huge group play. They're for small groups and even solos. Soloable people can go out there and do stuff in these adventure zones. But let's move off of that. And there's one thing I wanted to bring up about the ESO Alliance thing that went on. Passive skills. Before, it was like you put a point into it and that's it. You got that passive forever. That's awesome. But now there's a tiered system to the passives. So each passive, I'm not sure how many tiers there are. Let's just say that for now, for whatever, that there's 3 tiers. So as you are using, those passives in the background, they're doing stuff. They're increasing your health or how much damage you can mitigate, whatever. It'll level again, basically, and you'll be able to put another point into it to reach that second tier and make it even.
It sounds like
better.
A morph. That's what you're making it sound like, exactly like a morph.
But it's not a morph. It's just a more powerful version of the same thing. So it just increases.
So you just
the
don't
stats.
Get a choice. It just increases it. You don't get like.
Yeah, it just increases the stats that are already there.
Okay.
It just makes it better.
Okay.
But you have to put a point into it. So that's one more thing you got to use your skill points for. It's like, awesome. There better be a crap load of those skill points. But anywho, that is it for the news for this week. So let us go on over to the developer question of the week. This one is from a guy. He's a producer. He's got a pretty cool name. His name is Dante Falcone. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dante Falcone, a producer on The Elder Scrolls Online, and here's your question for the week. You may have seen the video on character progression and learned a lot about skills and abilities. If you could craft your very own spell or create your own combat technique with a weapon, what would it be?
I'm gonna take the super nostalgic, way back to Josh's heyday of MMO gaming or whatever. My first MMO ever, and I'll have to say it here, it was RuneScape. And I remember working so hard to get this whip weapon. Yeah, it was just like a whip that you'd whip around and stuff. And I've been watching a lot of, with you lately, I've been watching a lot of Spartacus. And one of the most badass characters on there, Onimeus, uses a whip. And it's super cool. I don't think a lot of games, can you think of any awesome single player games, for instance, that you've played where a whip was like a weapon choice and a skill line and progression and stuff?
Not unless they come out with an Indiana Jones RPG or something.
I don't know. I like those movies too. I think a whip would be awesome.
I don't know, a whip by itself, though, I mean, you would think, oh, man, you wrapped it around my wrist, now I cut it with a sword, and now you're worthless.
Oh, no, but there's so many things, like what you just mentioned there. There's so many different things you could do with a whip. Sure, a whip could do damage because you could hit somebody with a whip and it hurts, right? But also what you just said there, the whip could wrap around somebody's arm and maybe stun them for a little bit. Maybe that could be a CC type of thing.
Well, then there needs to be a spike at the bottom of it or something so you can stab people with it afterwards.
I'm just trying to spread the word that whips aren't only for cows and porn. It's for other stuff too. It makes a badass weapon. Or
cow porn.
So what would be your skill line for either a weapon or a spell?
Well, I'm going to go the total immature route.
Oh, great.
Because I love doing that.
Sure.
And my ability would make women's armor disappear.
Wow.
Yes. Not only would it be awesome because they all be naked, but also it would lower their armor rating, obviously, because they have no armor on.
Yeah, that's great. So
yeah, it has utility, right? It
basically turns the Girls Gone Wild skill line is what it is.
Yes.
And it's all sorts of stuff like that. You could walk into a tavern too, and it instantly drugs every girl in the
Wow.
tavern, like something like that.
Wow.
Basically, the douchebag skill line is what you want.
Sure.
Sure.
And like one that makes women like lift up their robes and says,
This
"I
is-
hate my father."
This is why our female demographic here on the show isn't that swell.
Well, it went down
We're
even
gonna need
further
to
now.
get a female host on here just to freaking counter all this bullshit.
Oh, but it's fun. Anyways, guys, what kind of skill line would you all come up with? Go ahead and throw it down in the comments below. And let us go into the community segment, starting off with the questions from the Shoddycast. First one here is from Seth. And yeah, let's just go into it.
Hi, my father likes playing MMORPGs with my brothers and I, and he's mostly used to the skill bars that he can click with his mouse, and he's kind of slow with his movement and can only do PvE, and I was wondering if it was possible for someone like him to be able to do PvE decently. Also, thanks for the great information on the ESO Weekly and the Test Lore series. Good job.
That was creepy, but very like flattering as well. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So this is gonna sound like a commercial, or we're being endorsed, or we're being basically sponsors for this mouse or whatever. But both Kyle and I use the same. What is it called? The MMO Razer Naga, something like that.
It's a Razer Naga. There's also a Logitech version out there as well, which you may like better, but it's really big, that Logitech one.
Yeah, just go to Amazon, type in gaming mouse, and you'll find different options for
But
gaming.
MMO mouse, you'll get better results.
Okay, MMO mouse. And all it does is basically puts a little number pad on the side where your thumb hangs out on your mouse. And yeah, very easy way to access your abilities. I was a person that would click away on my abilities as well.
That's what they called them, clickers. You were a clicker.
I was a big time
MMO.
clicker, like too much.
Which is terrible because that makes you so slow because
Yeah.
you have to actually find the ability and click on it. It's just really slow.
Yeah, so get this mouse. It's one of those things to where you don't even have to learn how to use it well. It's just a second nature type thing.
Yeah, you literally take the number bar off of your keyboard and you put it onto your mouse.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And it's so much better to play that way. You'll enjoy your MMO experience, and I would recommend that to anyone.
Yeah.
Being slow at abilities or not, I would recommend that
Yeah.
mouse to anyone who plays MMOs.
Because keep in mind, this is a reticle-based MMO, so you won't be able to. You really will not be able to click on your bar. You can push a button that brings up the UI and brings up your bar, and you'll be able to click on it. But that's just to like move skills around. That's not to actually activate them. So you will actively have to use your number keys to actually activate those abilities. Otherwise, the only thing you'll be able to do is just swing your weapon around.
Yeah.
And that's it with your mouse. So yes, definitely recommend getting this mouse. And Razer, if you're out there, if you want to, throw some our way to,
Yeah.
sponsor. Or
Totally.
something.
That's like $1 million contract right there, just for us mentioning it, at least.
Yes. Next one here is from Florian, and it is about transit lines in PvP.
Hey, ShoddyCast, darling brother Josh and Kyle. Happy birthday, Kyle. Forlornian here. First, I want to apologize for my last bombardment of questions. I'll keep it short this time. I have a few questions about PvP concerning keeps and supply chains. So when you capture a keep, the supply chain to further along keeps is broken. What I was wondering is the supply chain going to be a linear thing, or is it going to branch off so there will be multiple paths to keep a supply going? Thank you so much for all the hard work and care you've put into your content for the Shoddycast. It's been really inspiring watching the show grow over time. And as always, for the fishy stick!
Wait, what?
For the fishy stirk. Very nice. Yeah, okay, I'll let you take away this question. I feel like you're very informed on supply lines and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know how much of it's under like NDA still. But yeah, there's supply lines, which are basically just travel routes in between all the keeps within Cyrodiil. Some keeps will have multiple lines going off to different keeps. Some will only have one line that go to it. So it's very strategic on what keeps you might want to or may not want to take over, or maybe just keep other keeps from getting, or other alliances from getting it. Because basically what those transit lines do, they allow you to go ahead and fast travel using the way shrines to a far off keep. So you can get to where you need to be quickest, so you can then go and do what you gotta do, take over them keeps. So yeah, I don't want to talk too much more than that. Just know that some keeps have multiple lines, some don't, and you really just have to see the map when you're able to really understand what the hell I'm talking about. All right, and next one is from a very interesting person. He's a skooma crazed high elf, and yeah, that's his name, skooma crazed high elf. Let's go.
Hey, ShoddyCast. Nate here with just a question for your channel. I'm sorry guys if I'm a little weird. I'm just a simple high elf, man. And these Khajiit, man, they gave me some skooma not even once, but I think it's starting to wear off a little bit. So I just figured I'd give you guys a question. So in ESO, will your overall level experience be based on solely your skill progression in like one-handed, for example, like in Skyrim, or will it be based on other stuff like silly little achievements? I would love to get an answer. Love the channel. Keep up the great work, and for the queen.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say to that.
Oh, well, I guess we can answer the question.
Okay, sure.
So, hopefully most of you know the answer to this already. It's not the same system as Skyrim where your character levels based on just gaining points through, what is it, just using abilities? And,
Yeah.
yeah. This is based on just experience from questing. You gain a set amount of experience from each quest you do, and also exploring and discovering new locations also gives you a big boost in experience.
Discovering locations, questing, and killing creatures, right? Killing creatures has always
Does a little, yeah.
given experience.
So those are the bulk of how you gain experience, and that's how your character actually levels. And like we said, the skill line and how those level is sort of the same, but they are separate systems.
Yeah, don't think you're gonna run in a corner for 3 hours and level your athletics or something like that, like Oblivion would.
Fun times.
I kind of want that though. I like doing that
Right?
because I could watch a
It's
show
so easy.
and do that and feel like accomplished. Like
I did that with sneaking. Like, you have to find a person. There was like a specific person that was like in a room.
Skyrim. This was in Skyrim.
Was it in
you're talking
Skyrim?
about? Yes.
And you just crouch and you literally just stand there or walk in like the same room.
I think I know what you're talking about. There's a bandit hideout next to Whiterun where this blind guy, I forget his name, but
Is that
this
what it
blind
is?
guy at the entrance, and he can never see you no matter how much, you make yourself known or whatever. And so you could just sneak around him all day long and level your sneak. It was awesome.
So you like hold something down on your W key so it just keeps walking forward, and you
Yeah.
go watch TV or something. You come back and your sneak's a 100. You're like, all right.
Yeah, see, those kind of like shortcut, like cheat little things totally work in a single player game. They're a lot of
Yeah.
fun when you find them and stuff. Don't expect any sort of like shortcuts like that where you're working the system in MMOs.
Nope.
And if you were to find something like that, report it immediately
Yes.
because that's considered like game breaking, like you're cheating the
Yes.
game at that point.
That's what they called exploitation, and you
Yes.
can be banned for exploiting it and not reporting it.
That's that big, huge, long agreement that you check whenever you enter an MMO for the first time. It's a user term agreement. It's part of that. You can't cheat in their game or they can kick you out no matter if you pay your subscription or not. So just keep that in mind.
Alrighty, and on that depressive note, let's go on into the sponsors of the week. First one here is a new donor. His name is Ryan Slauson. Thank you, sir. And then, who's this one? David Collette.
Dragonborn!
Ooh, that was enthusiastic.
I was aggressive. It was angry Dragonborn.
Next one here is from Thomas Koch. Thank you. Another Thomas here, Thomas Gorey.
Thomas, you have been called by the Greybeards to High Hrothgar. You are no longer a mere mortal. No, you are Dragonborn!
Man, have to lower them levels.
There you go. I can actually see the thing turn red as it's doing this. We have that little soundboard.
Solid red the whole time. New donor here, Saif Ajalaf. Hopefully that's at least somewhat close.
Thank you.
Another new donor here, Brady Applegate.
Thank you, Applegate. Interesting last name.
Yes. He sounds like he'd be rich, and he lives in a mansion.
Yes, the Applegate Mansion
Manor.
atop the hill.
Manor.
Okay, Applegate Manor with his apple groves down below, and he puts apple butter on his toast every morning and drinks nothing but apple juice.
Oh, wow. He probably hates, like, anything. with
Hates
apple in it.
apples. Hates them.
Or he's allergic. All right. Next new donor here from Tom Benanati. Yeah.
Benanati.
Benanati.
That's
Jeez.
Italian, right?
I
right?
hope so.
I hope. We don't mean to offend if you're not.
No, because we're Italian too. So
Yeah.
hello, brother.
We're Italian brothers.
Yes. All right. Donation here from Alexander Pata, and he says, if you are looking for an active and mature community.
Mature. You have to
Mature.
say it like mature.
Mature.
There you go.
Community for the Elder Scrolls Online, join Vokten today. Visit our site at www.legend-gaming.net/Vokten.
Why do you say that
I
part
don't know.
aggressively?
Because I felt like it. All right. Another donation here from Timothy Brownell. Hello. He says, greetings, Kyle and Josh. It is I again, the one, the only, hero of heroes, Vedin Drakehart, or Tim Brownell. Please visit my guild on Guild Portal named The Silent House. Also, I just wanted to say I hope you two liked my tribute video I posted on your Facebook wall. My God, I was playing it and Josh was like, oh, I love that song. And I wanted to throw something at him. Anyways, it's mildly entertaining. You should probably watch it.
Okay.
All right. Also, I just... Oh, wait, what was it? And also, Josh, read this, please.
Have to be a puppet. Here we go. Pull the strings. Kyle, darling brother, I like to paint my toenails pink while thinking of all the bad boys at the club. Hold me, brother.
What the...
This guy has really got a really twisted sense of humor.
Wow.
Really, really screwed up.
Just a bit.
But his money's good.
That's all that matters, right? All right. Perry Roberts. Hello there. He says, "All hail the king." Now that I wrote it, I am not too sure I like it. We need a Daggerfall motto. Help me out, people.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, just doesn't have the same
terrible.
ring to it, you know?
It should be King of the North or something, because they are in the North.
Yeah, they're kind of... But you think of Nords when you think of the North, you know?
I guess.
Yeah, Daggerfall, come on, guys. I feel like you guys are pretty enthusiastic about your faction, too, because I think you're one of the more underdogs out there. Come up with something awesome. Let's hear it.
Because, like, For the Covenant just is too long. For the Coin, I really don't know.
I don't know. It's
That's,
like you
that's
sound
all
like
up to you. I'm not a Daggerfall.
Yeah, you sound like a nation made up of little fingers or something, you know?
All right. Another donation here from Camilla Bruheim. Just wanted to say thanks for making such a great show. I don't know how great it was, but thank you. Continue the awesome work you're doing on the lore series. It has inspired me to play Skyrim yet again. It makes the wait for ESO a lot easier. Tusintach. 1,000 thanks. P.S. You actually managed to say my name right, more or less.
Wow. Impressive.
Am
Round
I
of
getting better
applause.
after a year of doing this show?
Slow clap. Yes.
We did that right on the spot. That was pretty good.
That was
Yes.
very, very good.
If you would like to be a sponsor for this terrible show, head over to ShoddyCast.com. You will see the donation button on the right-hand side of the screen. If you leave $10 or more, you can leave a promotion for us to butcher through, as we did today.
Yes, any and all septums donated to the ShoddyCast go right back into the ShoddyCast, not into our own pockets, ladies and gentlemen. That would be dirty. Anyway, you have been listening to this episode of ESO Weekly on the ShoddyCast channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like this video and share it with everyone
you know.
You know? I have been Josh.
And I've been Kyle.
We'll catch you later.
Boy.